behalf of the membership of May Memorial Unitarian Universalist Society to welcome everyone to Kelly L. Spahr's service of ordination as a Unitarian Universalist minister. I invite everyone to join with us to celebrate the achievements of a remarkable young woman and friend. For Kelly, today is the culmination of a long and difficult process. She will find that it is also the beginning of a further long, difficult, but rewarding process. At the conclusion of this service, please join us in a reception for Kelly in the social hall, which is on this floor on the far side of the foyer. I want to offer a special welcome to those who have traveled, in some cases, great distances, to be with us here today. On the last page of your order of service, there are brief introductions of guests who have come to participate in today's special service. And of course, a warm welcome to visitors, friends, family members, and the members, friends, and youth of May Memorial. Here, let no one be a stranger.
We come together from the four winds gathered hither to bless, support, and ordain one of our own to a high calling. We come together to embody and make real our congregational and our associational way of being. We come together to reflect. We come together to celebrate. Such is our privilege and our gift to Kelly and Kelly's gift to us. Come, let us worship together.
We come together today to celebrate the calling of a minister into our faith. As we light this chalice, let its light illuminate the web that connects us all. Connects us to our vision, connects us to our calling, connects us to shared love, shared struggle, and shared joy. Let it light our paths to continue to share the journey of faith.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Donahue. I am the president of the St. Lawrence District, which is pretty much all of upstate New York. And I am on the leadership team of the larger region, which is the Central East Regional Group, or commonly referred to as Syracuse. What a fabulous day this is. We're here to recognize Kelly and all of her accomplishments to date, but I'm particularly excited because we get a glimpse of the future for her. There are so many connections and relationships about to unfold for Kelly. She obviously has all of you here, and there are many congregations and communities which she is going to be connecting with in the future. Her life will no doubt be enriched by meeting other Unitarian Universalist ministers, and I'm pretty confident that some of those relationships will develop into deep, trusted friendships. Those people will provide her with comfort, guidance, and joy. As her ministry grows, she will connect with a variety of congregations and organizations, each with strengths and passions that will deepen her commitment to our Unitarian Universalism values. She will learn from our sister congregations, and they will learn from her. Some of her experiences will take her outside of her congregation or organization. Frankly, it's easy for many Unitarian Universalists to stay inside these walls of a congregation and not step out sometimes. But it's wonderful when the connection is made outside of those walls. For me, it's similar to meeting someone at General Assembly, an annual convention with thousands of Unitarian Universalists who are present. And you meet someone for the first time and you have a connection. You start a conversation and you don't want it to end because they share some of your interests and some of your values. That new relationship is exciting and can lead to unexpected synergies. And these connections and relationships within and outside the walls of a congregation, that is what's truly exciting. So much opportunity for spiritual growth and deepening. The St. Lawrence District and the Central East Regional Group, we have many professional staff and lots of lay leaders that are very proud of your accomplishments, and we stand ready to support you in your future. People here, the congregations that are represented here, the St. Lawrence District, Surge, and even the UUA will benefit from your passion of Unitarian Universalism. We thank you for that. Congratulations.
Now we walk to bring your awareness to your breath. As you breathe in and breathe out, be here in this moment, in the fullness of this time, this now. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. On this glorious spring day, we are grateful for so much. And in this moment, grateful and full of joy for the journey that has led to this moment. We give thanks for Kelly's life, for her passion, her creativity, her determination. We give you thanks for all who make this day, this moment possible. Her ancestors, her father and her mother, from whom she learned life is not easy, and love is messy and requires everything. And we honor their presence in this moment. We give thanks for Kelly's beautiful children, who will continue to remind her that before she is the Reverend Mother, she's still Mom. Will always be Mom. May she continue to learn from them, to be in the moment and to play and to be a human being before all the doing and activity of ministry calls her. We give thanks for all those who were part of bringing Kelly to this place, to this moment. All the guides, seen and unseen, present and those not present. For all the study, all the reading, all the conversation, all the listening, all the tears, all the frustration, and the commitment to carry it through to this moment. Today, may she feel the love that enfolds her, the hands that will bless her, and to take from this moment that love and the gratitude and the joy into the fullness of her ministry. As she sets out into this great unknown, this adventure of doing justice, loving kindness, and walking in humility and openness and joy all the days of her life. May it be so.
Kelly, you got your start in professional religious leadership while serving as my assistant at First Unitarian Church of Rochester, so I am just tickled to help mark this milestone with you. I'm all the more tickled to be here in this particular beautiful sacred space. May Memorial is the church of my childhood, and my parents have served this community of faith in many ways over many years. So I have a deep heart connection to this place. And finally, I am extra super tickled, and I'm really ticklish by the two recipients Kelly has chosen for today's offering. Kelly is aware of the high cost of pursuing the ministry, the burden of debt repayment, and the risk of a career disrupted by financial hardship or health crisis. The ministries and faith development staff group of the UUA, of which I am a part, administers the Living Tradition Fund. Proceeds from this fund provide scholarships to seminarians, debt reduction grants to new ministers, and emergency assistance to professional religious leaders in need. The Living Tradition Fund is the first recipient of today's offering. The second recipient is the Liberal Religious Educators Association, or LREDA, Endowment Fund. The Endowment Fund augments LREDA's ability to serve UU religious educators through innovative and supportive programs and services. Current fundraising goals include increasing scholarship aid for educational programs and creating new professional development opportunities such as online courses. Thank you, Kelly, for choosing beneficiaries which help equip and sustain our professional leaders. And thank you all for giving generously to the Living Tradition and LREDA endowment funds. Cash donations as well as checks made out to May Memorial will be divided evenly between these two recipients. Your offering will now be gratefully received.
felt herself being pulled under. In one moment, she was surrounded by fragrant blossoms, reaching towards the most beautiful, the narcissus flower, not knowing it was especially planted for her. In the next moment, she is amid the crumble and the quake of broken earth, the sounds of horses' hooves pounding in her ears, in the arms of the god Hades as he whisks her away in his golden chariot to make her his wife in the underworld. A place completely different from anything she had ever experienced before. Persephone's mother, Demeter, despairs, and she gets as mad as Hades when she finds out that her daughter's father, Zeus, the highest of all the Greek gods, had a hand in her daughter's disappearance. It was Zeus that had enchanted her with the radiant Narcissus and plotted with Hades in this sudden and secret arranged marriage. So Demeter, goddess of grain and growth, in her pain and in her punishment, allows all of the plants to wither and die, and the earth, once green and bountiful, to become barren. For months and months and months. Alarmed, Zeus sends a messenger to seek out Persephone in the underworld and return her to her mother. Delighted to see her daughter again, Demeter reawakens all the earth's beauty, its lushness, its blossoms, its fragrance, its nourishing fruits. Life springs. Yet before her, Demeter finds a transformed woman. No longer is Persephone a young and experienced maiden. She has encountered uncertainty and death. She's grown to love Hades, who revealed to her in time warmth and kindness. Persephone had also eaten of the pomegranate. She had tasted of the fruit of life, and that knowledge could not be erased. The past no longer fit. Her world had shifted into something entirely new. It included more than one plane of existence. Even so, it is said that Zeus loved his daughter too much to send her back to Hades without the hope of ever returning to her mother's abode above, which I think Zeus should have thought of beforehand and maybe put that in the prenuptial agreement. Another sermon for another time. And so it came to be that in the fall and each autumn thereafter, Persephone leaves for the underworld below. Her mother mourns and winter comes. And each spring, Persephone comes back with the flowers that pave her way to tell the story of rebirth, hope, and harmony. This Greek story of which the seasons change is a common retelling for this time of year when we are witness again, or soon to be witness to, the return of daffodil and tulip and crocus. Once again, the earth, an explosion of color. Delightful to behold, especially after this past winter. The winter of our discontent. That cut to the quick, it was soul-changing, of the power of Demeter that lasted until, what was it around here last week? I spent time recently attending to my backyard at my home in New Jersey. And there remain dead leaves from the fall in a few spots that I had not the chance to clear before the snow came. And kept coming. And kept coming. As I cleared away the dead brush, below I found these green shoots from bulbs that had been previously planted. And because I had not lived at this house a year before, I have no idea what those are going to blossom into. The promise of new life is a lovely anticipation to attend to serve as midwife. Persephone herself could be seen as one of those green shoots. Buried quickly in this harshness and cold, her life morphs and changes profoundly. Through an experience of fear and doubt and utter terror, she creates a new existence for herself, one of meaning and purpose and strength, that of which she decides to plant and serve as midwife to herself. Now, I don't believe that anyone needs to experience trauma or hurt to find meaning and purpose in our lives. I don't believe God gives us only so much as we can handle, or that Zeus is luring us into a tragedy for some higher purpose or to test us, that no one needs to suffer to be saved. There's no such thing as redemptive suffering. What I know is that most people I encounter most of the time live the best possible lives with what they have and live them with integrity, do the best that they possibly can in their communities of work and home and spirit, that they love and care for their families, and still unspeakable tragedy can occur. In haunting parallel to the Greek myth, we've recently learned that hundreds of girls are being held captive, and we can't be sure of their return. And on a day on which we celebrate mothers, how could we not feel the deep sorrow of those Nigerian schoolgirls' mothers and their fathers and grandparents and sisters and brothers? Caretakers, all of us of all kinds, might wish to make the world barren in such a circumstance. And we hope that, like Hades, their capturers find a source of love within them and can access gentleness and humanity in their actions, and that these young women can be returned safely to their families. And we know that this is only one of the stories in our media on our front page. We know, too, the circumstances of our own lives and those we care for. Our homes are flooded. They catch fire. Our relationships sever. Our loved ones get sick and we lose them, or we get sick and we fear that we might lose ourselves, or that we'll lose our jobs, or we can't find a job, or maybe we are forced to relocate. No one deserves any of it. So many things are just plain out of control. They come up from under the ground and they shake us. And because they are beyond our control, we can begin to doubt the world, doubt ourselves, our path, our purpose. Contemporary psychologist James Hillman believes that the Persephone experience occurs in each of us in sudden depressions. When we feel ourselves caught in hatefulness and cold, numb and drawn downward out of life by a force we cannot see, against which we would flee. The alternative to that experience is what makes moments like this that we celebrate today, celebrating our faith and new leadership within our movement, so very crucial, so amazingly special, so sincerely precious, that we fill it with flowers. Because there are sometimes feeling like there are too few moments and too few people that individually and collectively express their intention to not flee from the forces that would otherwise draw us down, but instead will commit to experience them, to feel those emotions, and be in it all. Be in it all of that which we encounter that might break our hearts, and bring us back again with empathy and with compassion. Understanding that there can be too few places of loving and healing responses in this world, each day we are offered the choice that we will be one of them. I think the strength of ministry is in those who choose to let the fullness of life in and let it shape them. I think the number one thing that we can do for the world, to change the world for the better, is to allow our lives to be transformed. That we want a ministry that is in and of this world, that is one of the very foundations of our faith. And we want to be among those who witness and bless and be led by those who witness and bless and see us in all our imperfect perfection, in those who companion. The best ministers I know keep companion with the angels, writes Unitarian Universalist Service Committee President Bill Scholes. The angels take many forms: evil, heartache, death, and the best ministers keep companion. Blessings, possibility, grace, and the best ministers keep companion. Confusion, awe, authenticity, and the best ministers keep companion. No authentic person can live in this world unmoved by how immense is the tragedy of creation. No pretty words can cover it up. No simple faith can fix it. No complex theology can explain it away. It just is. The angels of inequity, of temporality, infinitude sit perched on our shoulders, just waiting for the hour of deliverance. The best ministers I know fear that fact, sometimes flee it, but do their best to face it. And in the facing of it, they glean those other angels of kindness, trust, and faith, sitting quietly, resting calmly, waiting for their hours of disclosure. The best ministers I know lose their faith every single night and gain it again with the coming of the day. Kelly, you are one of the best ministers I know. We are all here today because you are one of the best ministers we know. You've experienced all those angels, and from them bring an essence into your ministry. It is of compassion and grace and caring and love. It has been felt in the countless hands of those you have prayed with and counseled, of people who you've been preaching with and teaching and learning and growing. In each of the way that you have brought your authentic fullness into each room and each plane of your life. Today we stand to witness and to bless. You and your commitment to allow yourself to be transformed so you might be part of transforming the world, with all of the intention and the thoughtfulness that we know is within you. We recognize that on this day of Kelly's ordination, that we too stand firmly within a faith that asks that we come with our full hearts and our full questions, and to be with one another on this unpredictable, difficult, joyous, awe-inspiring, pain-cutting to the quick, love-filled, feeling to the bone, crazy, beauteous, unpredictable life. And the world is calling for us to share this commitment with them too. That we are them too. the commitment to live in hopefulness and trust in ways in which we do not give up on ourselves or on anyone else, that we are always seeking, ever searching, and forever showing expressions of love and potential. In a story from the Upanishad, an elder asks of a young person, "Bring me the fruit from that tree and cut it open. What do you see in it?" "Very small seeds," said the boy. "Well, take one and cut one of them open. What do you see in it?" "Nothing," says the boy. "That hidden thing in which you cannot see," says the elder, "from that hidden thing, this mighty tree has grown." Good ministry, the ministry that the world needs, has always needed, will always continue to need, not just from professional leadership, but from each and every one of us, sees that hidden thing, and sees that hidden thing as good, and sees that hidden thing as potential. Because we certainly do not need any more doubters. We don't need any more doubters in the world. We don't need any more doubters in our faith. And we don't need any more doubters in our lives. Give me the Kellys of this world. Those that see strength in humanity. Those that believe in the power of love and the ever-bringing source of love, even in times when that hidden thing seems like nothingness. Who never give up on others and never give up on themselves. Upon his entry to the underworld, the messenger that Zeus sent to rescue Persephone was amazed at what he found. Instead of finding a frail and fearful girl, he found a radiant and striking queen of the dead, goddess of the underworld. She had adjusted well to her new position, saying that she had even found her calling. The goddess was now in charge of greeting new arrivals. This perspective of the story is the one that we don't hear as often. When Persephone returns to the underworld, she has no remorse. She looks forward to guiding those who have lost their way to the next phase of their life. I like to think that she brings them flowers. May we feel her positive power surrounding us now, on this not-so-ordinary spring day, of which we celebrate with gratitude one of our own, in all of her blessed potential, sacred in her being, as each of us are. Each moment on the cusp of blossoming. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be.
Well, Harsey Leonard served as my predecessor as president for several years, and he's housebound today, but he wrote a letter to Kelly and wanted me to read it. Dear Kelly, at a Board of Trustees summer retreat in August of 2010, Reverend Jean announced that Kelly Kilmer Hall, May Memorial's newly appointed ministerial intern, would be the worship leader for the September 5th Sunday service. A few of us had been introduced to you, but I believe that September service was your inaugural appearance in our pulpit. Sorry, Kelly, but I do not recall your message from that service. But I do recall being impressed by your self-assurance and well-prepared remarks. For nearly 5 years, your story has become interwoven with the ongoing May Memorial story. I have been privileged to have played a small part in your growth and maturation during that period, and offer my sincere congratulations on your many achievements. I was thrilled when you asked if I would be a part of your ordination service, and regret that circumstances have prevented me from doing so. Know that I am with you in spirit, and wish you the very happiest of days. Fondly, Parsi Leonard. Well, he didn't leave me much to say. So, at this time, I'd like members of May Memorial to please rise if you are able. Kelly, would you come forward, please? Kelly L. Spahr, recognizing your sense of obligation to serve the cause of liberal religion, and having received the recommendation of the Ministerial Fellowship Committee of the Unitarian Universalist Association, and by the authority of a vote of the members of this congregation, we desire to ordain you to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. We offer you ordination, a privilege bestowed upon us by the nature of our free church. Among us, and wherever you may be called to serve, we would have you preach the word of truth in freedom and in love, ministering alike to our joys and sorrows, setting forth by example and by your teachings of leadership the principles of our free faith. Are you ready to enter upon this ministry?
I am.
Now, would the members of May Memorial please repeat after me? We, the members of May Memorial Unitarian Universalist Society,
we, the members of May Memorial Unitarian Universalist Society,
do hereby ordain you, Kelly L. Spahr,
do hereby ordain you, Kelly L. Spahr,
to the Unitarian Universalist ministry.
to the Unitarian Universalist ministry.
We do pledge ourselves to walk with you.
We do pledge ourselves to walk with you
In unity of the Spirit.
in unity of the Spirit,
In the bond of peace.
in the bond of peace,
And in all the ways of truth and love.
and all the ways of truth and love.
With a deep sense of obligation and opportunity, mindful of its privileges and responsibilities, I take up the ministry to which you ordain me.
Thank you.
mine. She gather me land. The pieces I am, she gather them and give them back to me in all the right order. It's good, you know, when you get a woman who is a friend of your mind. One person I invited to my ordination was an old college friend, Nancy. She had followed each step of my journey into ministry: discernment, graduate school, internship, hospital, prison chaplaincy, senior seminars. So Nancy had a question about the invitation I had sent, about clergy are invited to robe, and Jane, she said, what could you possibly have left to process? Kelly, there will always be one more thing to process. Like how you weigh the disparate needs of motherhood and ministry, of your own children and your congregants or clients. And you will find that your reasons for being a UU minister change over time, and you will want to process that too. But from this point forward, that processing is entirely your responsibility and at your discretion. Our relationship as colleagues is no longer based on or centered around that work. This ceremony, within a ceremony, the right hand of fellowship, goes back thousands of years, at least to the days of Paul and Barnabas, James, Cephas, and John. It would not have endured, certainly not into Unitarian Universalism, if it were not essential to the strength and the integrity of our ministry. Though our missions may span the globe and its peoples, as ministers we stand together. Kelly, your colleagues are here to befriend you in perhaps the way Toni Morrison had in mind, to listen, love, and understand you as best we can, not to fix and form you. Kelly, I am delighted, and you know I am, to welcome you into the fellowship of our Unitarian Universalist ministry, and extend to you, Kelly Spahr, this my birthday vows.
I want to tell you, the people who are of this congregation, that it's your fault that I'm here. 16 years ago, my now husband and I were looking for a place to get married as we were attending the SUNY ESF college. And somebody said, you ever heard of the Unitarian Universalists? And so here we came, and here we married. So thank you. Dearest Kelly, we began this journey into ministry together, not knowing exactly where it would lead us, or what we would need to bring with us, or how it would feel when we finally reached this point. We knew only that we were called to serve through our faith, and that we had to bring our whole selves and remain open to all of the possibilities to fully answer this call. And now, we know so much more. We know about theology, we know about ethical theory and church systems and church history and polity, and yet, the most important thing to remember is the thing that grounds all of those things. That openness that we brought with us into that first day of seminary and maintained throughout our process our formational process, which never does end. I want to remind you of this, to remain ever open to the evolution of your ministry, to remain in conversation with your vision, to remain willing to travel with the trust that you held at the beginning of this journey, the trust that you are enough to answer this call. Kelly, all your loved ones who are gathered here and all who are here in spirit, we've all walked some part of this journey with you. You have not walked alone, and you will continue to walk in the company of others, in faith and in love. And yet you also know that ministry can be a lonely thing, a vocation that can sometimes set us apart from those we love and those we serve. And so I charge you to remember your connections, your relationships, your colleagues, your mentors, even as you find yourself in that loneliness, especially as you find yourself there. As a religious humanist, you've said you believe we have a responsibility to each other and to the earth and the universe that we all come from. As you grow into your ministry, caring for people's spiritual needs as they face some of the happiest and some of the hardest moments of their lives, I charge you to remember not only the responsibility, but also the wonder and the delight that comes from being deeply connected with our human siblings and all that is around us. Remind those whom you serve of the human story that comes out of the universe story, that there is hope and deep peace in all that we share, and that our responsibility for each other and our earth is intertwined with that hope and that peace. Your call is to serve others as they wrestle with the pain and fear that are part of this life, and it is to bring alive with them the exquisite joy of being aware of each moment. You have said of your ministry that it is your job to help people move toward what is meaningful in their lives. May you remember this for yourself as well. The outward expressions of your ministry will grow and evolve, and may you be blessed with the continuing ability to discern and prioritize what is meaningful in your life. You have also said that spiritual practice and religious educations are things that we can intentionally tap into all the time. May you also remember this for yourself. Remember to find your way into the spiritual practice and religious education that are present in everyday moments, as well as in the momentous, life-shaking, earth-shattering moments. Remember to seek them out and hold them, to let them ground you and feed you and stretch you, so you may gain and share everything you gain with others. Remember to leave time and space for them in your life and in your ministry, so that you may be renewed and nurtured by your own experiences of this Lord. And finally, remember the words of Layla Ibrahim. It is a blessing you were born. It matters what you do with your life. What you know about God is a piece of the truth. You do not have to do it alone. These words are for you to give to those you serve, to inspire them and offer them a sense of hope. But they are for you also. For if you know them and you live them, you will continue to be an inspiration and a source of hope for yourself and everyone around you. Amen. Blessing.
I have spent a ridiculous amount of time in churches. I say that with a lot of joy, but it is true that I have just spent a lot of time in churches. I am privileged to have grown up my whole life in the UU tradition, be a youth leader in my church's youth group, traveling around New York and a little bit of Canada for youth conferences and chaplaincy trainings, and teaching RE at my home congregation.
I wear a lot of hats. I think that's true for most of us. We are the person we are at home, at work, at church. So we must assume that this is also true of our ministers. In fact, I would say that that is definitely true. We ask our ministers to wear a lot of hats. We ask them to challenge us in our thinking and spirituality. We ask them to help us in our times of crisis and need, and they do so willingly. I have seen my mother wear so many different hats during this process. She has been the mother to myself and my sisters and brother. I remember her first time working in a church as the DRE assistant to Jan. I spent 3 weeks in Chicago, during which she was a seminary student during intensive classes, where all of the seminary students tried as hard as they could to soak up as much information as possible before going back home and repeating it all again to make sure they really had it. I was there during round 1 and 2 of chaplaincy training, where I saw the profound joy and sorrow that working with those in need can bring. I was there when she graduated seminary school, for the sermons, DRE work, UUA interview, and I'm also here now. So why does this matter to you, to the congregation? Sometimes we forget that our ministers are human. They are mothers, friends, colleagues, that they too can experience joy and loss. But they are still our ministers, and we are charged with holding that and being in relationship with that. As I have mentioned, there are so many hats that they wear, pushing us to be our best selves while also caring for us in our troubled times. And because they are pushing us to be the best that we can be, we must also be pushing them to do the same. We must hold our ministers to high standards and challenge their thinking as they challenge ours.
Kelly has asked me to give a charge to the children and youth. This is not always done at ordinations, but Kelly is a forward thinker and a minister who knows that religious education is what our faith looks like when it is practiced every day and everywhere. She is also a minister who strives for deep inclusivity in her ministry. And so I would ask this gathered congregation, when it is time to lay on of hands on Kelly, a most special moment of the ordination, that for those children who are here, we allow them to come to the front. It is a sign of our true inclusivity. And this is what I would like the children to hear. One of our wise ancestors wrote, "There are different gifts, but the same Spirit. Some are teachers or preachers. Some are healers. Some are wisdom speakers. So I say this to the children here, and I pray this for the children in Kelly's future ministry. You have a gift or a talent of the Spirit. As you grow up, each of you will learn more about what that gift is, because it is different for each of us. Some of you will be teachers or healers, leaders or followers. Some of you will have gifts that I cannot name because the future is not known yet. There will be a need of gifts and abilities I cannot imagine, but you will. You have a gift, a talent, right now that Kelly needs. You have the gift to teach Kelly and to lead her. And so I ask this of the children here and the children of the future. Teach Kelly the things that she needs to know as a minister. Bring to her a sense of awe and remind her that whatever she is doing right now, whatever important task or worry she has with her, it is always in the service of awe. Teach her that any problem or conflict or solution is always made better with snack. There is a reason why we have coffee and fellowship after every service. Remind her, when she doesn't remember herself, to sit on the floor and look around so that she can see what her ministry looks like from that angle. Sometimes, usually more often than we like to admit, we adult Unitarian Universalists like to use really big, humongous, ostentatious, pretentious words like humongous, ostentatious, and pretentious. When Kelly uses a big word when a small word would suffice, or do, remind her. Feel free to say to Kelly, tell me again in a way that I can understand. And never forget to distract Kelly with play. Ministry can pull the minister in so many directions, it can be easy to forget the joy that once called a minister. Remind Kelly that joy is something you make room for every day, and one way to find that joy is to play. There will be days for Kelly when her ministry is tiring, where the demands of the many seek to break her strength. Remind her of the mystery that is part of all life. Remind her there is mystery in the water dripping from a rain spout, in the anticipation of a marshmallow roasted over fire, in the beauty of snow angels, in the joy of blowing dandelion fluff on a sunny day, in the sweetness of butterfly kisses, in the magic of the ever-changing colors of a sunset. And hugs. Never forget to give her a hug or a high five. Amen.
My name is Alexa Carter, and I'm a member of May Memorial. And it is my great honor and pleasure to present our congregational gift of a stole to Kelly. We have grown in love and wisdom from the time we have had with Kelly. She's touched our lives, and we hope we've touched hers. We hope that she will think of us and feel our love every time she wears this special keepsake.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, we are all ministers unto each other and the wider world. And there are individuals who are called out from among us, from our congregations, to perform a more defined ministry, and our congregations ordain them. Kelly, like the other professional ministers in our denomination, is not conferred authority from bishops or gods, but from you, the people she has served in faith. The ancient ritual of the laying on of hands is a symbolic and a palpable moving of energy and power through ourselves toward Kelly and through her out into the world. In a few moments, I'll ask Kelly to come and kneel in the center of the space. Emma, Soren, Jude, and Lucy, whose patience and grace and wisdom and expectations and love have carried Kelly to this moment. They will go to her and they will place a hand on her. I'll then motion for everyone to rise in body or spirit, and those closest to Kelly, colleagues, friends, family, those closest will place our hands on Kelly or on her children. Those further away will place their hands on the shoulders of the people between Kelly and them, until we're all connected to each other and to Kelly, linked by our presence and our intention, so that we share with Kelly the energy that arises within us and between us. Feel free to move if you have to, come forward if you need to be able to reach somebody's shoulders. And as we connect, I invite you to join me in song. If it's a song you don't know, you may hum or simply absorb. May our hands move the spirit of life and love among us.
Among us be carried by Kelly into the world, which is so in need of its healing power and grace. Amen.
Amen. Amen. She's trying real hard to take this girl. Don't touch her.
May our minds be open to the presence of the divine. May our bodies be open to the presence of the divine. May our spirits be open to the presence of the divine. May our attention and intentions be open to the presence of the divine. As we leave this sacred space, may we take our light and our love into a shared ministry that we pour out upon the world that we live in together. Blessed be, Amen, and Namaste.